It's time for number 43 in my series of video game movie reviews. And once again, we're looking at an adaptation of a long-running beloved series. So if bald heads, snazzily dressed gentlemen, and barcodes are your thing, then hang on, because I've got just the thing for you. This all seems really familiar. Hitman Agent 47 is brought to us by director Alexander Bach and stars Rupert Friend, Hannah Ware, and Zachary Quinto. We follow Katya, played by Hannah Ware, a mysterious woman with a mysterious past that she can't remember, looking for a mysterious man who she doesn't know. Why? Well, we don't really know, nor does she, which begs the question as to why the fuck she's looking for this guy anyway. Either way, she's looking for him, but so is the super secret underground organization, the Syndicate. Who is the Syndicate and what do they do? We don't really know. I mean, they're kind of underground, they're super secretive, and apparently they maybe kill people, but they're looking for this guy, that's for sure. Now, the reason that they're looking for him, we do get due to the extremely long-winded exposition we get in the beginning of the film. Apparently, this guy was the one who created the Agent program, which our titular Agent 47 came from. Apparently, the agents were all injected with some type of super serum that deadened the senses and made them have, like, no emotion, so they'd be perfect killers. It also made them, like, super fast, super perceptive, and just kind of super all around. It pretty much just gave them whatever power they needed in the moment that they needed it. And this guy that everybody's looking for is the guy who created this serum and apparently went rogue years later and has been hiding out and nobody can fucking find it. But the Syndicate has started the Agent program back up, so they want to find this guy so that they can get their hands on this serum and make the perfect assassin super soldier types. So when Katya figures out the location of this guy, the Syndicate catches wind of it and goes after her. Now, the only lead the Syndicate has on this guy is Katya herself, though we don't really know why that is. Apparently, her picture is the only thing they could find in reference to this guy, but they can't really find her either. You see, Katya is like super paranoid and off the grid, and we know that because she doesn't like it when people touch her, and also she's got like 50 locks on her front door. Now, the Syndicate, after years and years of looking, finally figure out where Katya is. Coincidentally enough, in the same day, Katya, after years and years of looking, finally figures out where this guy she's been looking for is. She still has no fucking clue of who this guy is or why she wants to find him, but hey, you know what? She figured it out, I guess. So now the Syndicate's on her tail, but more so than that, Agent 47's on her tail. That badass super soldier assassin killing motherfucker is coming for her. Now, when confronted with these two, Katya has to decide which murderous entity is she gonna go along with. And I'll give you one guess as to which one she decides to go with. Apparently, her goals and Agent 47's meet somewhere in the middle, and they decide to go forward together and find this guy. All along with Zachary Quinto's character from the Syndicate hot on their trail. This may all seem kind of familiar. Not necessarily the story, but maybe some of the characters. And that would be because this is not the first Hitman adaptation made. If you followed this series from the beginning, you may remember that back on number 21, I reviewed Hitman, which is also based on the same Hitman video game series. Now, Hitman Agent 47 is not a sequel to that movie, nor does it take place in the same universe. It is based on the same source material, but these two movies are not related as far as being in the same world or anything. This is more or less a reboot. That original movie does not exist as far as this movie's concerned. New director, new actors, new producers, new everything. Same source material, but new story and just new everything else. And that original movie was okay. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was an entertaining enough time while I watched it. Definitely not the greatest video game movie ever made, but it wasn't the worst either. It had its entertaining moments, but it also had quite a few flaws. But overall, it was entertaining enough. And this time around, well, I don't really know if a reboot was needed here. The story of Hitman Agent 47 is not really all that interesting. It's fairly simple and pretty nonsensical. logical. There's all these people looking for this guy the whole entire movie. And while we do understand the motives of the syndicate while they're looking for this guy, that's made very clear. They want to find this guy so they can continue his research. That all makes sense. I was fine with that. And we do eventually know the connection between the character of Katya and this guy. There's no real good reason given why she would ever be looking for him. I mean, there could have been, but they didn't really ever give us any reason as to why. She is flat out asked in the movie by a character, who is this man and why are you looking for him? And she says straight up, I don't know. It's just some guy that she's been obsessing over for years and she has absolutely no reason to. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and that's kind of one of the backbones of at least the first half of the film. And there's just no reason for it at all. It was really hard for me to look over this point because the movie makes such a big deal about this point. The fact that she's on this journey trying to find this guy. It's like her whole life. But why? I mean, I don't need some big, deep backstory as to why she's doing it, but there is literally abso-fucking-lutely no reason on earth she should even know that this person exists, much less as exerting so much effort to find him. And like I said, I probably could have looked over it if the movie didn't make such a big deal about the fact that she is looking for this guy. Now, once we get past all that, we do find some things out about her character and some things that have been done to her that does give a reason as to why she is the way that she is. Not necessarily a reason as to why she's been looking for this guy, but a reason as to why she's so closed off from the rest of the world. She also discovers that she has some special abilities, if you will, and that's not ever really been a part of the Hitman mythos as far as I can remember. I haven't played like every single Hitman game out there, but I've played enough of them and none of that kind of thing has ever come up. But whatever, it's a movie adaptation, I can go with that, that's fine. But the way that she discovers these abilities and how fast she does is very unbelievable. And I'm cool with suspending disbelief, especially in a video game movie. I expect it to some degree. But these high-level abilities that she ends up developing throughout the movies are just done really slapdash. I'm cool with the movie saying that she could develop these things and maybe showing a little bit of them, but she goes from like nobody to fucking badass super soldier within a few minutes. Also, there's like this perception thing she has, and yeah, I know that could be a bit of a spoiler, but really come the fuck on. I'm not spoiling this for anybody. And this power she has is just totally unbelievable. This movie is supposed to be somewhat grounded in reality. And while this messing with people's DNA and making them have these abilities is a thing in this world, none of them are supposed to be like magic or just like totally out there. It's still supposed to be something that you could say, okay, I see that maybe with a little bit of tinkering that could be a thing. But no, this chick like straight up sees the fucking future sometimes, and there's no way, no type of deduction or anything that could make it possible. The things she sees and even the way the movie shows that she sees it are just totally fucking impossible and improbable. To the point to where it's very distracting. You're like, how the fuck is she coming up with that? This is just fucking stupid. Then we have Agent 47 himself, played by Rupert Friend. The depiction of this character in this movie is okay. The character of 47 has never been just a ball of emotion. He's never had a whole lot of personality. Now in that kind of is his personality. He's very dry, straightforward, and emotionless for the most part. And we do get that from this character here, but he's also got like a certain charisma about him. This is something that I think Timothy Olyphant did a really good job with the original. While that movie wasn't great, I thought Olyphant just kind of projected this kind of low-key charisma about Agent 47. We don't get that here with this 47, and I don't think that was so much the performance, I think that was the way that the character was written. This movie's not about Agent 47, even though it is called Hitman Agent 47. This is about Katya. Agent 47 is almost a side character here. He's in the movie a good bit, but we don't really get a lot of that character. That is something the first movie did better. That was definitely Agent 47's movie. This one, not so much. And I don't know if that was because they didn't know how to portray this character at least faithfully and have him be a main character because he is so dry and emotionless, or if that was just the feel they were going for. Either way, it doesn't really work here. Now, the biggest problem with the story of this movie is that there just really isn't much. They treat it like there is. They have a lot of story parts where they're explaining things, but none of these things really matter at all. For half the movie, they're looking for this guy. Once they find this guy, then it's kind of like they don't have anything else to do. They're given given kinda sorta something to do, and I guess they go do it, but you didn't really give a whole lot of shits about finding this guy, and after that, you definitely don't give any shits about what they're doing next. It's just kind of dull and drab. Now, the action set pieces that are thrown in throughout the movie at least are somewhat entertaining and well shot. They're not the best action you've ever seen, but when the rest of the movie is so boring, they definitely shine here. But ultimately, they're not really enough to save this movie's story. There's just not very much there, and overall, it's pretty uninteresting and boring. Though they did have the nerve to actually end this movie on sequel bait, which I doubt will ever happen. I mean, I say it'll never happen, but I mean, look at a lot of the other video game movies that we've gotten, so who the fuck knows? Our performances are okay at best. They're more or less unremarkable. Much like the story, they're all kind of drab and boring. Nobody really seems excited to be making this movie, with the exception of Zachary Quinto. I will give his performance that. It is the most exciting and interesting performance in the movie. He seems like he's kind of giving it his all, and he's having a good time here. He's kind of over the top for a fair amount of the movie, and it seems like he's having a blast. There's still not a whole lot of material to work with, but you know, he's working with what he's got. As far as the other characters, such as Katya and Agent 47 himself, there's just not a whole lot there. But even with what is there, what we get is just kind of boring. Just like the story and pretty much everything else in this movie, it's all just kind of boring. I can't go as far as to say it's like terrible acting, it's just dull acting. Which is to say that it's kind of fucking bad, I guess. Zachary Quinto, though, he was at least a good time. Now, the movie does at least look good from a technical standpoint. It never, like, gets really creative with its camera angles or anything, and there's not, like, anything revolutionary going on here, but it all does look good. It's shot well, composed well, and all of that. The effects are kind of hit or miss. I will say that for the most part, the CGI effects are all pretty good, but there are a few scenes where it seems like they overextended themselves just a bit. None of them are outright terrible, but there are a couple of points where the CGI does stick out a bit more than I think you'd like. As a whole, though, technically this movie is very competent. And this does seem kind of like a trend I've been noticing in the video game movies I've been watching recently. In this time period from around 2012 or 13 to up when this movie was made in 15 and maybe beyond, I'm not seeing as many like outright terrible video game movies. It seems like the quality has come up a bit, but I am seeing a lot more of these movies with like mediocre stories with okay performances. However, from a technical standpoint, it seems like they're all looking really good. It seems like the technical prowess of these video game movies is on the rise, but everything else can't quite keep up. I don't know, just a trend I've noticed while I've been doing these movies in order of release. Hopefully we get to that point soon where the story and characters catch up with the technical aspects of these movies as well. However, Hitman Agent 47 is not that movie. Guys, at the end of the day, Hitman Agent 47 was a kind of movie. It's got a pretty weak, non-existent, improbable, boring story. Some okay performances that for the most part are kind of boring themselves. Action scenes that are made well, and in comparison to everything else, they are exciting, but in comparison to other movies, maybe not so much so. Movie's not like a total loss though, because from a technical standpoint, it is fairly solid. Unfortunately, those technical aspects are not enough to save this movie from its most damning attribute, which is that it's just boring. And as I've said time and time again, you're a movie. You got one job. I can overlook a whole lot of stuff, but the one thing I can't is to be boring. You are supposed to entertain, and if you're boring, you're absolutely not doing that. And since this movie is pretty boring and it's really hard to find much entertainment value in it, at best, check this one out on USA Up All Night.
It's not worth it!
Hi, I'm Gilbert Godfrey.
Hi, it's Yolanda on USA.
It's so big. It's just not worth it!
I honestly wasn't expecting much from this movie, but I can say I was expecting it to be more entertaining than what I got. Considering what we have here, I don't really know why they decided to reboot this franchise just 7 years after the original one came out. Especially seeing as how the original one wasn't like a blockbuster or anything, and I can't really see how anybody would have looked at the script for this movie and said, oh, this is the one, this is worth rebooting, this is gonna set us over the top. It didn't, and something else that doesn't is me recommending this movie to you. So there it is, guys, my review of Hitman Agent 47. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my little channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Frankfurt. on the video game movie review list. No. I haven't seen this one, but I've just heard great things about it. Just good stuff all around. Can't wait.